Sorry about that. So this is part two. I got cut off. My phone went out of power. So let's continue on. So the bottom line is, even though there are other civil rights laws, there are certain claims that Section 1981 covers that other civil rights laws don't cover. For instance, you can't bring a Title VII claim for employment discrimination if you're an independent contractor, but you're able to bring that claim under Section 1981. Also, there are certain claims that aren't covered by the Civil Rights Act. There are certain claims, for instance, like claims dealing with retails, shops, and stuff like that, that may not necessarily be covered by public accommodations, but people are able to bring claims under Section 1981, from what I recall. So there is a need for Section 1981. And if they're able to knock down Section 1981 by saying, well, you have to prove but for causation in order to prevail, who's to say that they won't bring that same type of interpretation to other important civil rights laws? So this matters, despite what this guy Tariq Nasheed is saying. Another thing is this, this guy basically said, well, this is a play by the Democrats, to get votes and all that kind of stuff. And he was criticizing ADOS for basically trying to finesse black people into supporting the Democratic Party. I mean, this case has nothing to do with Democrats versus Republicans. This is a case about Section 1981 and its importance and preserving it. Just like the Voting Rights Act was something that was key, that's still key for us to defend. But they succeeded. The right wing Supreme Court succeeded in gutting the Voting Rights Act. And here we have another example of the clock being turned backwards, possibly, where they're able to interpret this statute in such a way that it becomes very difficult for people to bring these types of claims. And you would think that somebody that gets on here and whines and cries about white supremacy this, white supremacy that, you would think that they would be on board with doing everything in their power to protect this law. But this person doesn't understand politics. This person downplays the importance of politics. This person actually had the audacity to tell people not to vote. To actually tell people not to vote, encourage people not to vote, have a don't vote campaign, even though it's votes that determine who's going to be president. And votes, those votes for president determine what kind of Department of Justice we're going to have. The Department of Justice is responsible for enforcing all kinds of civil rights. These police brutality cases we hear about, they're the ones that investigate those. The Justice Department appears in court all the time arguing in support of various civil rights laws depending on the administration. And when you have a right-wing administration in power, they use the Justice Department as a weapon against civil rights. And that's what we see here, where Trump is actually using the Justice Department to attack a civil rights law that has been around since 1866. But yet and still, you got this guy, Tariq Nasheed, downplaying the significance of this. How can you call yourself some kind of fighter for justice or equality or empowerment of black people, and you don't see the significance of this law being basically gutted or weakened and all that kind of stuff? I just don't get it. I don't get why people follow people like this. And then when you look at this, man, you look at it from this perspective. This guy talked about like how, it's not about voting and stuff like that. It's not about politics. He basically said, well, if you don't have money, then politics don't matter. So we need to be focused on economics. And I find that troubling for a couple of reasons, which I'll get into. But he talked about how we need to be focused on economics. You would think that he was serious. If he was serious about focusing on economics, he would want to partner or work with somebody that's exemplified, black entrepreneurship, and that being Byron Allen. But instead, he craps on Byron Allen because he's in this little tit for tat contest with these ADOS people. So that's one thing. And then even though somebody can have money and power and all that kind of stuff, have businesses, if your politics are not on point, or you don't have the power, the political power to enforce your will, then all your economic power is vulnerable. It can be taken away in a heartbeat, just like what happened during, Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, how they were able to wipe out a thriving black business community within a blink of an eye. We've seen this happen time and time again throughout history because the people didn't have any civil rights. They could burn down black towns with impunity. So your economic empowerment means nothing if you don't have political power to go along with that. If economics were all that people need, you wouldn't see these major corporations, these Fortune 500 corporations doing everything that they can to protect their interests by lobbying in Congress, by lobbying before the White House, by lobbying in your state legislature and your city council. You wouldn't see that if politics didn't matter. But these corporations, despite all their vast wealth, they understand how important politics is. But you got some black power entertainer on here who can't see that. And people follow this guy. But anyway, man, those are my thoughts about this situation. Tell me what you think. Please rate, comment, subscribe, like the video, share the video. Hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I post new content on here. Also, before I go, I want to encourage you to donate to my political campaign. I will post a link in the description box to my donation page. Right now, I'm running a campaign, a fundraising campaign. I'm calling on 50 lawyers to donate $50 to my campaign. And if you're a lawyer or you know of attorneys, tell them to donate to this campaign. $50 to this campaign. That's not a lot of money for people that practice law. So again, the link will be in the description box. For those people who don't know, I'm running for Baltimore City Council in District 4. And if you live in District 4, vote for your man. You know where I stand on the issues. Peace and blessings. Have a great night.